Welcome to Sketchbook Club. Today we're going to do a lovely spread of fish jumping in and out of the waves. And actually waves are really hard to draw. It's all about kind of stylising it really and sort of finding a way of representing the waves without sort of trying to be realistic. So in your downloadables, you'll see a page of waves. You'll see they're all really, really different. Some are really simple and graphic. That's absolutely fine, and it will look really effective when you redo that on your sketchbook page. And some are more involved, which is not that difficult to copy. I'll show you some examples, but they're all very definitely waves. You'll see that the 3 remaining sheets are all fish. And what we're going to do, we're going to do a semicircle of fish, sort of jumping out of the water, filling the rest of the sketchbook page. This is really up to you how you do this. I'm going to use just coloured pencils because, as you can see, slightly obsessed with coloured pencils, and that's what I use, and that's my main sort of medium. But as you can see from some of the reference here, this is such a beautiful spread, and she's used a watercolour wash as a background and fine liner and just used black as the fish, and she's used this page as her reference. And that's really effective and beautiful too. This is a page which has just been created using coloured pencils, but it's so beautiful. This lady really loves paints, and she's chosen to just really go for it and created this fantastic sort of painty image. And very different to this lady who quite likes the boldness of the outline of pen. I think out of all the sketchbook clubs I've done, this one was the most varied in terms of what people produced at the end. So I'll be really interested to see what you'll come up with. The reason why I've chosen a huge variation of fish, some are bonkers, some are brilliant. I love this one with all the little circles, and these fish which look more like sort of sea creatures. It really doesn't matter, they don't have to look realistic. You are illustrating a page, you're not you're not trying to kind of represent the fish exactly as it is. So feel free to invent your own. You don't have to follow the reference, use it as a guide. It's your book, own it, make it your own, and just have some fun. So the first thing is to choose a sea that you can imagine yourself drawing and that inspires you. But if you kind of start using a sharp pencil and just really have it by you, one thing you can do is to fold it so that you are not distracted by the others. If you're going to copy that one, you have it right by you. But I'm going to just choose this one, very simple and very graphic. So I'm just going to start in this left-hand corner. You're just going to draw each wave with a nice sharp pencil. It's like doodling, it really is. So I'm just going to add lots of different lines and just have some fun. It's incredibly peaceful to do. And it's entirely up to you which one you choose, but using colour pencils means that you've got a little bit more control. And actually, people have said that once they've done this, when they go on holiday, they feel that they can now sort of draw on the beach because they can kind of represent the sea, and it takes away that sort of how on earth, where do I begin with drawing waves, because you can just stylise them and illustrate them, and it doesn't have to be a sort of photographic representation. So I'm going to vary the blues, so I'm going to use a lighter one here, and because the sea is just a kind of wonderful mix of fantastic shades. So I would carry on with this until it's about 1/3 of the way up the page, so probably to about sort of here. And when you've finished the whole page, like this person here, it's time for the fish. So as I said, there's a real variety. If you do want to do this more sort of graphic approach, it might be a good idea, and if you're a bit nervous and you don't want to kind of go straight in with pen, I'm like that. I always quite like to sort of draw it out first and then go over it, just to make sure I'm happy with it, because it is quite a commitment going to pen. So using your reference, you could use the transfer method because they're about the right shape, and I've done that on purpose. So if you did want to, you then would draw round each fish. So I'll do one now to show you. You draw round the outline of the fish with a sharp pencil, and where possible, any detail that you can see, the eye and the gills and any kind of positions of the scales, just to give you a guide really. And when you've drawn over it, if you turn it over and making sure you've got the right fish, position it where you want it. So if I'm going to do a kind of semicircle, I'm going to put this one on the left as I'm going to do more in a kind of arch coming out of the water into the water. Then you're going to scribble over the back, covering the whole fish, pressing quite firmly with the pencil. If it's starting to go a bit blunt, just turn it around. So then you should be ready to reveal your fish. You can see that it's transferred really nicely. And then you simply use a fine liner. I'm using a 0.4, any fibre tip fine line, as long as it isn't a kind of rollerball or biro, it'll be perfect. And then turning the page back over, looking at the reference again, go over it with your pen, and it looks quite professional because actually, again, quite hard to get that shape perfect. But using this transfer method, you've got that shape of the fish, and it's bang on because it's the same as the reference. So adding in all the details, and again, use it as if it's a sort of as if it's a doodle. I keep using that word, but it's so relaxing. Just kind of drawing in the scales, all the details, and you'll end up with that sort of quite a sort of graphic image. Would love to see what you're doing, and would love to see how you've approached the waves. I find it really fascinating how everybody's approached this really differently. So there you have it. You'll end up with, hopefully, you'll have found a way of drawing sea for the future, and you'll end up with this fantastic fishy spread. If you want to share this or see what anyone else has done, and I'd love to see them, use the hashtag sketchbookclubfish, and then we'll all see what you've done, and yeah, you can show it off because I'm sure it'll be a beautiful spread.